Welcome, it's denome, and today we're going to do something a little bit different. So today we're completely ignoring the short-term noise and we're only looking at the long-term Bitcoin price, and we're looking at the long-term Bitcoin fundamentals, because we do want to know if and when will Bitcoin make a new all-time high. So that is the question that we will answer in this video. So for that, let's first take a look at the price in the bird's eye view, and it looks like this. So as you can see, from 2013, we have had this support line, and we got respected here in 2022 and here in 2023. And that kind of gives us a potential bottom price level. So as of now, today, the absolute bottom price level currently is $45,000, and it just keeps increasing every single day if this price level is respected. And why wouldn't it be respected? This has been valid for more than 11 years now. So that's pretty strong. The other interesting point here is that I mapped out here whenever we had an election in the United States. So as you can see, in 2016, we had an election here in November, and after the election, the price of Bitcoin went pretty nuts. So the price of Bitcoin went up 2,500%. In 2020, we also had an election, and after the election, the price went nuts. So the price went to about 350% to the upside from the election level. But during 2020, you can see that the price already started to climb to the upside before the elections. So a similar thing could happen here in this market cycle, that people start to basically expect that the economy will turn around, the monetary policy will turn around, and the accumulators will start buying Bitcoin after the election. So some people, when they start to front run the market, the front running itself can cause the market to actually go to the upside already. So what is the catalyst, and why I think this could be happening, even though when we take a look at the real world situation, we know that the markets are currently in a crashing mode, the real estate is in a bubble, the interest rates are too high, inflation problem, and unemployment numbers are garbage, the car sales are garbage, economic activity is garbage, real estate retail investors don't have money to invest. All of these bad things are happening in the world. How come Bitcoin could still break to the upside? Well, there's a lot of economic energy stored into Bitcoin during this price level here that I want to reveal in this video that you may not be aware of. So in 2020, what caused the price to skyrocket in altcoins and in Bitcoin was the stored economic energy from the COVID monetary policy or the helicopter money that was given in 2020. And after the election, people's minds opened up, because obviously when it's election time, people think either the world is going to end or they go to heaven with their new president. But after the election, people are like, okay, today is a new day, what else is out there? And then they start to look at their own future, not like the country's future or just looking at the election date. And then they will start speculating on assets and so on and so forth. And because we had all of the stored energy from the COVID relief packages, stimulus packages, all of these things, people started to gamble. But this time we have different fundamentals. We do not have that economic energy. We have a different kind of economic energy. And that economic energy is right here. So when we take a look at the balance on accumulation addresses of Bitcoin, and I will show you a bunch of other indicators as well, you can see here that currently almost 3 million Bitcoin are held by these what's called accumulation addresses. So addresses which have zero outflows of Bitcoin. So these are wallets that have simply accumulated Bitcoin and done nothing else. So these are your like permanent whales. And during the time when Bitcoin price was $70,000, $60,000 or below 60,000, they have accumulated almost 1 million Bitcoin during this time. So the $60,000 price range, this is an absolute accumulation zone. And that is obviously pretty good for the price potential increase. Next, when we take a look at other long-term holder data, this is very significant. So when we take a look at the 1 year inactive supply percentage, this shows us the amount of Bitcoin supply in percentage that has not been moved for over a year. And whenever we have a bull market, this usually goes down. And the reason why it goes down is that people obviously want to sell at a profit. So they are moving their old Bitcoin. But when the bear market hits, then this line starts to go upwards because people don't want to sell at a loss. So they become long-term holders during a bear market. But after the bear market turns around, then people start selling again. And this bottoms during the top of the bull market, obviously. And this is true for every single bull market, but here is where it gets different. When we take a look at the total amount of inactive supply, so Bitcoin that has not been moved for over a year during this last bear market, you can see the percentage was 66%, and they just kept accumulating more and more Bitcoin, all the way to 70% when price level was $45,000. So what this means is that $45,000 Bitcoin is an absolute buying zone for these long-term holders. They don't want to sell at $45,000 Bitcoin. They are accumulating Bitcoin at these price levels. And that also coincides with the launch of ETFs, because ETFs were launched roughly at the price of $40,000 Bitcoin. So that kind of gives me the bottom area for Bitcoin using this chart here. Also, when the price of Bitcoin went to that 70K, then we saw sell pressure from these old wallets. But as you can see, the sell pressure has vanished. There is no more sell pressure from these old wallets. Obviously, some of them are still selling, but this is not going downwards. And we have had a similar situation before right here. So even though the price peaked, a lot of people sold, but then they just stopped selling. So the price had to go upwards one more move to the upside. So it looks like we might be heading for that future because people don't want to sell. Maybe the price has to go up. It looks to me like that. So all in all, 45K seems to be the absolute bottom. And even at these price levels, we saw previously that the accumulators just want to accumulate. Doesn't matter if Bitcoin is 70K, 60K, 50K, they just buy. If it would go to 45K, you can imagine the amount of buying on that price level. Next, let's take a look at another indicator here. We can take a look at the Bitcoin hash rate for now. So Bitcoin hash rate gives us the total mining power or computing power in the Bitcoin network. And after the Bitcoin halving, you can see that we had a dip in mining power. But you can see in July, the miners have already adapted to the new difficulty. Even though they are making less money, you can see more miners are now online than ever. So we made an all-time high in the hash rate here. And that is very good because it indicates that the Bitcoin network is safe and people want to mine Bitcoin for the long-term potential. So this is extremely good for potential price increase as well. Next up, let's go and take a look at the Bitcoin on exchanges. So here you can see in February, this is another indicator that people have been accumulating Bitcoin at these high prices. So from February, when Bitcoin was 73K, you can see a lot of Bitcoin has left exchanges. And whenever Bitcoin is leaving exchanges, it means that they usually want to hold it in their private wallets and want to hold Bitcoin rather than trade Bitcoin. So this is another indicator that Bitcoin has left here. And you can see the total amount of Bitcoin that has left is roughly 300,000 Bitcoin. So like 10% of the liquid supply has been taken out during this price range here. At the same time, we are also, if we look at Ethereum, you can see the Ethereum 2.0 staking rate has started to go up here. And this is also significant for the fact that even though Ethereum price was almost $4,000 or $3,000, more people want to hold it for the long term and not speculate on the short term price action. So this means that there's Ethereum whales or Ethereum believers who want to hold Ethereum for the long-term price potential as well. Again, just signaling that both Bitcoin and Ethereum are in high demand. Also, if we take a look at just yesterday what happened, we saw the price of Bitcoin crashed, but when we take a look at the Bitcoin ETFs, yesterday even we saw $50 million flow into the Bitcoin ETFs again, meaning that they were also buying the dip. And for Ethereum, from yesterday's video that I made, we also are now seeing the inflows. So you can see that the last 2 days there was a total inflow of roughly $60 million into the Ethereum ETFs as well. So even though there has been a dip, there are just some people who just accumulate Bitcoin and who just accumulate Ethereum regardless of what is happening. So since that is the case, that means that the bull case for Bitcoin is not retail investors because they don't have money. Retail investors unfortunately are missing out on this Bitcoin cycle. Now it's the bigger money who is after Bitcoin. It's your Michael Saylors and those people. And it seems like when we saw the Trump and RFK Jr. announce the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, I think some countries are also considering it now, and they may want to front run a USA into making the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. So we might see some crazy announcement from whatever country. It could be China or Russia or European Union or maybe even Canada or Mexico, who knows. But there may be a chance that some of these countries look at Donald Trump and the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve like, hey, should we allocate a little bit into Bitcoin? And if countries become like a permanent long-term buyers of Bitcoin, you can imagine what the mania will be into Bitcoin afterwards. And this is, I guess, what the long-term holders are speculating on right now. And I don't think they will change their minds. Even if the real world markets crash, even if like everything is burning, I don't think those zealots that have bought into the idea of Bitcoin being a magic money, I don't think they will be selling. So that kind of gives me the idea or confirmation that this 45K level that I showed you in the beginning of the video will hold. It has held for 11 years. It seems like it will hold again. So that will be the absolute bottom. If you can get Bitcoin at anything like these price levels, in my opinion, that will be the all-in zone. Not financial advice, but simply looking at the situation. If Bitcoin goes anywhere near like 50K once again, it seems like that is the absolute best buying area possible. But since I'm not the only person looking at this data, there is a chance that other people come into the same conclusion and the Bitcoin price will just start climbing upwards. So the driving force for Bitcoin is not retail. The driving force is the speculation that even if Bitcoin price goes down, other people will just throw money at it anyway. And eventually the monetary policy will change, probably after the election. If Trump again gets to be the president, it doesn't matter if it's Kamala Harris or Michelle Obama or whoever. Most likely what they want to do is they want to give relief to the markets to show that, yes, because of me, everything is good again, everything is green, everything is fine, everything is going well. So I believe whoever becomes the president will make a lot of monetary changes in monetary policy and try to basically make a recovery for the market as soon as possible. So their remaining time in the office will be better for them. That's my expectation. Doesn't matter who gets to be the president. So these things are basically the driving forces for the price potential. So that's kind of my long-term view, and in the short term there may be whatever price moves up and down, but at some point I think before the election the price may actually go and break here. If we take a look at altcoins, unfortunately altcoins are driven by the retail investor demand. So currently the problem with retail investors is that they don't have money in the sidelines. So it may actually take some time for altcoins to catch up for Bitcoin. I don't know if that's 100% the case. Maybe some institutional investors are dipping their toes into altcoins as well. Some of the altcoins will definitely do well, but you can see from the previous patterns that basically the same thing I showed with Bitcoin has also happened with altcoins. The gains have been much higher before, but like I showed you in 2020 when the altcoins went 1000% to the upside after the elections, the same thing may not be true for this cycle, for the fact that this was driven by the COVID relief and people having a lot of money in the sidelines. They wanted to speculate with the free money that was given to people, but we don't have that now. So retail, the altcoins may not pump as hard as Bitcoin. So Ethereum seems to be good, Bitcoin seems to be good, altcoins not as good unless you buy an altcoin that is directly linked to the price potential of the of Bitcoin or Ethereum, like I showed you in the previous videos. LDO, for example, is one of those coins, and there are some other ones as well. Those might do super well during this cycle. I could be completely wrong as well. This is simply me looking at the data and making a let's say an educated guess what will happen in the short term. Who knows what's going on with this mess? If the real world markets crash, the S&P 500, something like that, obviously Bitcoin just completely crash as well. If there's some liquidation event, who knows, maybe even Tether or USDT gets completely crushed and banned and burned. That could cause a massive crash. So there are always these unknowns whenever you are investing. This is simply my outlook on the data based on the and reflecting that on the price. So that's it for this video. Let me know what you think of this long-term view. And for the price targets, by the way, I don't really have a price target right now. I'll say like conservative estimation is like $90,000 1 year after the election. But if Trump gets to be in the office and there's a strategic reserve implemented, who knows, it could be $500,000 Bitcoin. So there's a lot of variance in the guesses depending on what happens, and who knows, maybe bombs start flying and we are all dead by next year. It's very hard to tell. Maybe Israel or Iran starts another war and it escalates and whatever happens. So don't hang me if this does not happen. These are simply my ideas from the data that we are looking at currently, and just in isolation, not comparing this price to the whatever is happening in the real world. Anyway, that's it for my video. If you like this kind of content, consider clicking the join button to donate a few dollars per month for me. If you like to see these kind of videos, it really helps. And subscribe to the channel if you want to get consistent updates from me as well. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye bye.